G'day, everyone, and welcome to another DUC Migrating to Australia podcast. My name's Wes Sant, and today I'm joined by Jonny Biro. So, Johnny, how are you, mate?
Very well, thanks for asking. Wes,
Very
how are you?
good, good. We had a bit of a pre-chat, and you were saying you got like nice and hot where you are in Queensland.
It's absolutely scorching, mate.
Well, this is being filmed on the 24th of the 2nd, 2025, or recorded. And so you've probably got another, what do you reckon? Probably another 6 weeks of decent heat, and then it will probably chill out a bit. Where we are in Melbourne, we've probably only got another couple of weeks, and then it will, the weather will, will move into autumn. And then, yeah, it gets a tad colder. But how do you what would you consider being a hot day where you are? What temperature?
We're up in southeast Queensland. I think 33, 34 is pushing it. Like, that's the type of day that you basically want to be sitting inside in air conditioning, I think. But you can hit the mornings and the evenings are nice for walks. Beautiful to go out to the beaches, see the sunsets. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, good stuff. So, mate, look, you're a cook, and you applied for your visa as a cook, and you were granted a 190, which is absolutely brilliant. You got permanent residency. So, I guess we're here to talk about a little bit of the process you went through, get to know a little bit more about yourself. And then you can have your sort of spin on what life's like in Australia. So, I guess we'll get started with where are you from, mate? Where where were you born and everything?
So I'm from the northeast of England, a little town called Bishop Auckland, which is part of County Durham.
Yep.
There's not really a lot that goes on up there. I think it's one of those little towns where everybody knows each other, everybody knows each other's business. Look, I've had a really good childhood up there, really good adolescence, and it's a lovely part of the world, lots of farmland and very, very long, dark winters, cold winters, I think is probably the best way to spin it, really. But yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, whereabouts did you learn your trade? So you learnt your trade where you were born and everything like that? What sort of work were you doing?
So I guess I dipped my toe in the water over in a ski season in France when I just left university. I was 21, and I went over to Maribel, did a bit of skiing, got a job as a cook.
Yep.
Fell in love with the industry. Like, I've got a science degree, but I think that the calling I had whilst I was in the kitchen was something I couldn't ever get from lab work. It's a completely different field. So
Yeah.
I really, really fell in love with cooking over there. I came back and had started working for my dad, who was also a cook, and things just went from there. Really, I had a job in Melbourne and Brisbane actually in 2018.
Okay.
I was adding to my skills then, and then I just sat it out and did a few jobs here and there. But I think my calling in life was to be a cook, so that's my background. That's why I love cooking. I love the camaraderie in the kitchen.
Yeah. Do they swear a lot? Is it like the tally, mate? Do you just curse flat out?
It is. Yeah, it's controlled chaos, lots of swearing, lots of ups and downs, but you just can't beat that lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I speak to lots of chefs about that. They love the banter, and they love the I guess the way that you all interact in the kitchen. What most of the consumers don't really see, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. Stuff that goes on in the kitchen, you wouldn't want the customers seeing, but it's just banter, and we have a good time.
Good stuff. Now you mentioned so you did a working holiday visa in Australia, did you?
I did, correct. I
Cool.
was.
And where did that start, mate? Which run through where you arrived?
Mhm. So I actually travelled straight to Melbourne, your neck of the woods,
Yep.
and set up there. So I came with a few friends. We were all in that 24, 25-year-old age where we're kind of not ready to settle down. We kind of want to do a little bit of exploring. So we all just jetted off to Australia, started in Melbourne, all got jobs, started saving a bit of money up, just going out on weekends, living in Airbnbs, having a great time. It was absolutely one of the best times of my life. On the weekends, we'd go traveling. We'd go to the Grampians National Park, Great Ocean Road. Oh, man. You know it all. You know it all, Wes. It's just a beautiful place.
I've actually got a photo behind me, Johnny, when I was I'm going to turn my head and have a look at this photo, actually. But I reckon I would have been about 4, and I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and we're standing out the front. And I remember that Grampians was the first time I met a kookaburra because my evil
Wow.
brother put the sausage on my head. So the kookaburra had to scare the crap out of me and land, and then take the sausage from the top of my head. I remember the
That's
Grampians
mint.
quite well. It's a very popular, family vacational place for people that are heading to Victoria. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
And yeah, understandably so. You've got the views there, breathtaking.
And Johnny, with your mates that come over, did any of them? Did they all go back home, or are they out in Oz now, or what's happened with them?
I think. Well, I've actually one of my mates he stayed. He didn't. He never went back. And I think 3 or 4 of us all weren't sure what we wanted to do next, so we all went back to our default setting, I guess, which is back to the UK,
Yep.
which ultimately made things a lot harder for myself. But it was at the time it felt right. You think you've done everything. You think you've completed Australia, and you think, right, I'll go back and continue my life, really.
Yep.
But I think it was the moment I stepped off that plane, and it was the middle of winter, and I just instantly knew I'd made the wrong decision. Oh man, I just settled back into my old ways, just
Yeah.
moved back down to Leeds and got a job again, and
Back in the
um,
kitchen.
back I didn't go back. I thought I went into my science degree for a little bit, and
Yep.
that's when I realised I'd made the wrong decision. But a few of my mates, we all talked about going back out, and I think I was the only one who actually made things happen, really. I
It's
think a lot of
hard.
them,
It's actually
it
the
is
whole
hard.
process is hard, like, having an occupation on the skilled list, doing the skills assessment. Obviously, you did all that. So, how did you find the skills assessment as a cook? Well, I don't think I've had a podcast with a cook before.
Right. I guess it wasn't, nothing was too out of the ordinary, nothing was too difficult.
Yep.
It was a very basic skills assessment because I didn't go in for a chef, which would have been arguably harder, but I think I was better suited as a cook. So I went through the processes. I gathered my evidence. I gathered all of my previous references. They want you to make simple sauces. I had a GoPro on my head and I was sat in my kitchen at home making all the simple sauces.
Yep.
I was baking. I was cooking meats. They just want to get an understanding of, can you do these simple but everyday tasks that you're going to need to be a cook?
Yep.
So I think it took me a couple of months to get through the whole of the itinerary, and of course after that, once you've submitted all your evidence, you have an interview with an assessor from Vet Assess, and he was really canny. I think I did it about 1 a.m. England time, and managed to catch him in Australia time, and
Yep.
it was a really chilled conversation, and
That's late, isn't it? 1 a.m.
it was late, yeah, but just got to do what you got to do, really.
Yeah, you might be in the arvo.
Ideally, but yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Oh, that's good.
it's good.
Because we actually are the assessing body now for cooks and chefs. So
Oh
we
wow,
just when you said that, like quite late, like we normally would get ours done in our sort of late afternoon, so more earlier your morning. I guess we
yes.
do it now. I guess I guess it varies where our assessor is based and all that too. But yeah, technical interview, like you weren't stumped with many questions. You weren't sort of fearing it. You sort of went into it feeling nice and comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. I was super confident, super comfortable. Um, didn't throw any swerve balls.
Yeah.
They asked me some basic calculations, recipes, and how to scale up recipes.
Yep.
And um, the second we'd finished the interview, he said, "Well, I can see you're a cook, Johnny, and I'm really, really happy to talk to you, and I'll sign you off." So it was a really chilled out experience.
And just looking at your details and all that on our system, you actually signed up with us on the 27th of May, 2020. So do you remember the day you actually got your visa grant?
I was granted my visa last week. I think it
Last
was
week.
a week ago today, or yesterday maybe.
There you go.
It was, so that's been 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And I
But we
think
had the pandemic, obviously, to
we
deal with.
did. And honestly, I think had we not had that pandemic, it would have happened in 2, maybe
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you're quite lucky because chefs and cooks are still we process wow hundreds of skills assessments for them every month for the employer sponsored visas.
Yes.
Because certain occupations, certain passport holders, it's mandatory they do a skills assessment to apply for the 482. So you obviously got your visa when you were onshore. So were you on a tourist visa or were you on an employer sponsored visa?
I came over as a tourist back in um, early 2023, I believe. I traveled over just with a 3-month tourist visa. I realized that I'd be in a better position if I was to be offered the visa onshore at the
Yep.
time. So I was at the time I was going to be offered my bridging visa. So look, whereas it was approaching another dark, horrible winter, and I think at that point I was just so ready to go. I couldn't wait anymore, so I quit my job. I travelled out and just found someone on one of these spare room sites and just moved in with them for a while.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah, I think I did a trip out of the country to reset my 3 months. Went to Vanuatu and then came back. And Jenny called me one morning. She said, "You've been offered the visa." So it was after that I was transitioned over to a bridging visa. And I think that
So
was
good.
August of 2023. So I didn't have long to wait.
Yeah, yeah. It goes to show how long the visa actually took to get, granted as well. It's a good, like, what, 15 months, maybe longer, 16
It's
months or something from when
pushing that.
you
Yeah,
got the invite to getting the visa grant. But you're onshore, so you're able to work and everything like that. And so
absolutely.
when you travelled Oz, Johnny, did you like now you're in like what part of Queensland are you in at the moment?
I'm in Brisbane at the moment, North Brisbane, just by in the Moreton Bay area.
Oh, nice, mate. Awesome.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah, that's an awesome spot. But did you, when you're on your work and holiday visa, did you actually live around there? Did you get a taste for what, like what Brisbane's going to be like?
I did actually, yes. So after we'd after we'd done 3 or 4 months in Melbourne, we all travelled up through the middle of the country to Ayers Rock, Uluru.
Yep.
Stayed a couple of nights there. Travelled all the way up and across to Brisbane, which is where we've put our roots down, and spent the remaining 6 months in Brisbane, which is actually why I fell in love with this city and this area of the world. And this is why initially this was my decision to come to Brisbane.
Yeah, cool. And Johnny, like, because you're quite young. Let's just call you 30. All right.
Aye, I'll take that.
So you're pretty good, like, with your age and all that. You got your whole life ahead of you, really. God, I sound like
Mhm.
an old man now when I say that, but it's pretty cool that you can do that. Are you working in the kitchen at the moment still?
I'm at the moment. No, I'm not in the kitchen at the moment, but I'm just trying to find a place around me. My goal ultimately in the next few months is to open my own business and I
Okay.
guess go down a similar route to my father, who has a food truck and
Oh,
he does
nice.
events. And I've I've worked for food trucks in and around Brisbane.
Yep.
It's just it's a really really good income, really good earner.
What do you sell in the food truck, mate?
I was working on a Greek food truck in Brisbane, and it was we were doing gyros wraps, we were doing all these fancy Greek meats and skewers, and it was just a great time.
Yeah, it's my wife's favorite meal, all that sort of stuff, the Greek food
Yeah.
and
Oh, it's the
everything,
best.
tapas and everything like that.
Yeah, so good.
So how do you go about it? I mean, you're a permanent resident holder, so you got the same rights as an Aussie. I'm just gonna have a funny accent for a while, mate. I'll throw that one in. But so how does it work? You've got to what, buy, do you buy someone out? Do you buy like a bit of space from them, or how does it work?
If I was to if I was to go into this and buy my own van, I guess at first I'd like to start hitting up event type work, very short, intense
Yep.
periods of work where you got to have really high turnover in food,
Yep.
and then I would maybe once I've done that for a few years, once I've got my name out there, maybe look at somewhere a little bit more stable, catch the 9 to 5 or the 7 to 3 lot,
Yeah, yeah,
and have a steady flow of income on a daily basis. I think that's my ultimate goal.
yeah.
I
Sounds
still
awesome.
haven't, I haven't, I couldn't tell you what my cuisine is going to be yet. That's something I guess I need to try out first, but
Are you gonna go like the spuds, mate, the roasted spuds down like the British
full
style, or
English, maybe, yeah.
yeah, it's funny though, 'cause when you get like when you make a name for yourself and you're cooking good food, and that's what I guess what your aim is going to be to cook good food. People will travel to be there. Now, God, I always start saying stuff and I always forget the names of things. I went to a market, a very popular market in the UK. They sold lots of older sort of stuff. It's quite a cool Brixham market.
Brixton, yes.
Yeah, Brixton, that's the one. And I remember I was told to go to get a curry from one of the curry
Mm,
vans down there, and I swear I still remember like how cold it was that day, and just sitting there I guess on the curb, smashing this curry, thinking this is the best day of my life. Like it was
beauty.
so good. I love traveling there. So you got to get a dish, Johnny, that
Yeah,
people are going to want to go and see it. So I guess that's the challenging
absolutely.
part, isn't it? Work out what people
Absolutely.
want to have.
Yeah, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. There are some gaps in the market here. There's a hell of a lot of Asian food, hell of
Yep.
a lot of burgers. I think that those kind of industries are covered for. But I've just got to find my niche, man. Just pick something and ride with it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because I guess you got to build like the your truck out to suit to make sure it can cook. Although to cook the cuisine you're aiming for as well, and then you got to design it. Sounds
Exactly.
exciting, mate.
It is exciting. Brand new start, brand new opportunity. Something I'm really looking forward to.
And obviously, look, you're on an amazing visa, the 190, permanent residency. Did you ever, like, while you were over here transitioning, did you ever think about, oh, is it worth just going on an employer sponsored visa, or you just were just happy to sort of wait it out?
I guess the part of me that wants things to happen immediately was considering that, but look, where's the work I went through to get this 190 and the perks it offers
Yeah,
is a no-brainer just to wait around and
yeah,
just have
good
this
man.
come in. Definitely, like you say, permanent residency, fly in and out the country. Um, can't leave for more than 5 years, but I've got all the same rights as an Australian citizen,
Yep.
and it's a really good foothold to create something from and to create a life. I think anyone who is considering getting the getting cold feet and maybe thinking about switching visas up because it's taken a little bit too long, my advice to them would be just wait. You're on a bridging visa. Just ride it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so tough, isn't it? Because everyone's circumstances are so different. But once you get it, it's like when people do the gap training, mate, for the license trades. Once they get through the pain of completing the gap training, when they get their full Australian registration as a plumber, electrician, or refrigeration mechanic, geez, they go well. That it all opens up. It's just getting that year under your belt, and I think that's probably I don't know, like it's that mental struggle. What did you find with this whole process? What did you find to be the hardest part mentally?
I think ultimately for myself, it was the 2 3 years in England,
Yep.
waiting, riding through COVID, watching
Yeah.
the world in pure chaos. I think that was just I was just itching to get away then.
Were
We
you
had
earning during COVID?
I
Were
was,
you?
yes, I was lucky enough to still to
Yeah.
have a job.
It's funny, isn't it? How many people couldn't earn through that? It's a horrible time, mate.
Oh
Yeah.
man, well,
Horrible
God
time.
hope we never go back to that again, man.
I think the world's wisened up now, mate, for
I
that.
hope so. I really hope so.
Hopefully, like we can get through that. But so back home, family, friends, and everything like that. They supportive. Were they like, oh, Johnny, you're crazy going out by yourself and all that, or were they like, man, you've got this. You're a bit of an entrepreneur. Go out and do it.
I had I had some very, very, very good support.
Yeah,
I think all the friends who came out with me in 2018 were just in full support of me. They just really wanted me to go and do it. They understood. You see,
yeah,
they'd
that
lived
it
that
takes.
life. They'd
Yeah,
they know why I want to go back. It took it took a while to persuade my parents that it was the right decision. I've got one brother, and there's only the two of us kids, so
Is
they
he
were about
older
to
or
leave.
younger?
He's younger. He's younger, and they were in my parents' minds. They were losing one of the children, and I had to persuade them and reason with them, and tell them, look, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be on the other side of the world, but this might be a good opportunity for you to retire out here should this ever come up, And
Yeah.
I think it wasn't until last year they finally came out to see me. And the second my dad got off the plane, he said, I want to move out here, Jonny.
Get the
He
food van
was,
going, Johnny. I can do
oh,
it.
yeah. No, they were complete believers after that. They got to see it firsthand. They
What
understood.
did you do? Like in your mind, did you have like certain places you wanted to show them and everything like that to go, hey, this is my life, mum and dad. This is what I do, and it's an honest,
Absolutely.
like it's honest. So where'd you take them? What did you do?
God, we never stopped. I think it was 2.5 weeks of just travel. We just went all over the place. We went right up to the top of Sunshine Coast. We went down to the Gold Coast. We were here, there, and everywhere. Took them to all the major sites in Brisbane. Took them out for drinks. We
Yeah.
got to see like sunset um,
What
in
what month
bars,
were
and
they here in, mate? You got him to come over in like a hot month or a warmer month? What month did you
they came out in April.
go?
So
April.
it was in between. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, but it was a nice introduction to Australia. Now they'll be coming out in 2 weeks' time, so they'll see it
Okay.
in March this time.
Yeah, yeah. So they're going to be like a little bit warmer, but I guess with Queensland, it's like you do get a winter. I mean, how would you describe what winter's like in Brisbane?
How I would describe Brisbane winter, I'd say it's a British spring.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to describe it. It's you get some days when it's down below 12, 13 degrees, just
Yeah.
briefly, but the majority of the time it's glorious, sunny, doesn't rain. A really manageable winter. It's not like it's still bright. It's
Yeah.
not like you go into a little bit of seasonal affective disorder in a Brisbane winter. Very, very manageable. None of the houses here have what they call
Like radiators, like heating.
radiators. Sorry, it's been so long, mate. I forgot what they call
You don't have to use it.
radiators. I was going to say refrigerators.
Yeah, I know. It's the opposite, isn't
Uh,
it? It's like the first thing
uh,
you gotta check is because is there cooling? Is there cooling
uh,
in them? And I guess obviously the shock of the weather, you do get used to it. Did it take you a while to get used to it? Like your first summer and everything here, was it hard or you just like lapped it up and just it's perfect?
it was perfect, mate. I wish I had more to say, but it was just absolutely glorious. There's not a moment you want to curse the weather. It's just you're just grateful,
I
very
think for
grateful.
listeners to understand as well, like Brisbane and Perth, they're sort of in a similar sort of, I guess,
Latitude.
that's the word, mate. Thank you. My geography teacher would be disappointed with that one. But yeah, it is. You're on that. Say the word again, mate. Latitude.
Latitude, I
Uh,
think.
so it's very similar sort of weather, I guess. And
Aye.
when it's hot, it can get hot, and sometimes that can deter people. But then in winter, like when I lived in North New South Wales, oh my god, it was the average temperature for the year in this place called Yamba was 25 degrees. The
Wow.
average. So throughout the
Whoa.
year, that's perfect, mate, for me.
That's
Like,
unbelievable.
so, in Melbourne, it's cold, but I got family here. Like, we do get a winter
Hmm.
and everything like that. So what does your like weekend and that look like, mate? Like what do you do? Do you jump on a surfboard? Do you sit at the pub? Do you do things that you were sort of doing back in the UK, but it's just in a warmer environment? What's your life about now, mate?
So I've got a bunch of friends at work, and got my one of my best friends who's decided to stay out here in 2018.
Yep.
He's got a boat. We often go out in Mountain Bay, do a little bit of fishing.
What are you catching?
Oh, what they caught this toadfish recently. It was this big green thing with a like almost like an amphibious neck that was just croaking, and but the majority of the time it's just like little salmon or Pacific salmons and little, those types of long. I think are they called flatties or something?
Yeah,
The
yeah, flatheads, mate.
long
Yeah,
flats. Yeah,
big
that's
spikes on
how.
the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't touch those spikes on the back, and if you do touch the spikes in the back, you got to rub it. You got to rub the belly of the fish where the
All
spikes
right.
touch you, and then it will actually help with the pain. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale, mate, or but whenever I've
Ah.
in the past, it sort of works. It might be mind over matter in those situations. Do you get out swimming in that much? Do you sort of like do you get out in the ocean much at all? Because where you are, it's just glorious out there for the beach life.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I get myself. I've got two dogs, so we head
Oh,
down to the
cool.
beach. Sometimes just have a little dip with them in the sea.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, like I come from the nearest beach from me is Sea Carew near Middlesbrough, so that's in the North Sea. So the ability
Okay.
to actually get in the sea here is just it's incredible, mate.
I think the North Sea is cold, isn't it? Isn't that where
It's
they
bloody freezing.
do all the crab fishing and all that? Isn't that on the shows? They do the crab fishing.
Yeah,
I think I've
crabs
seen
and
that.
it's bitter cold, mate. Baltic.
What's a positive or like I guess a negative? So the difference between the UK and Australia, what do
Yeah,
you miss about the UK that you wish they had here in Australia?
I there's family's got to be one, man. Family and friends.
And
Those are relationships you've made since you were
yeah,
young, very young, and uh, you've put 20 years worth of work into those relationships. It's tough. It is tough from time to time, but like I say, they're only a flight away, mate. You can just get on a flight and see them once a year.
and how do you communicate with them?
I just text, video call. This the the standard ways of doing things. It helps. It
Yeah,
definitely helps, but um, it's not something that anyone can't overcome. No matter how strong the bonds you have, you'll always see them again.
yeah.
You know. But I think another one as well is like I guess I'm yearning for a bit of good football to watch out here, mate. It's tough. A lot of the games at home are on at really unsociable hours in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, 2 a.m., 4 a.m. So I rarely get to see my football, which is a bit of a shame. But like, I mean, I miss Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest last night. That was a
Who do
bit tough to
you?
take. I'm a
Oh,
Newcastle fan, yeah. So
okay, gotcha.
I missed that. But I got to wake up and watch it on the highlights this morning. But I miss going to games. I miss being able to go to the pub on a Saturday and watch football. I think those are probably the two hardest things I miss.
Yeah, it's a big thing for a young man's life, isn't it? The footy, because the
Of
culture that comes
course.
with it as well. Like in the friendship that you build, and plus
Hmm.
you get the couple of hours where you just sort of take the world away from you, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's all that's relevant in that time. What about
Absolutely.
playing football, or as we call it, soccer? Have you joined any teams or anything like that? Is there
I
something that you
haven't.
play football back home?
I used to enjoy it at home. I haven't done it yet, mate, but there's never say never. I could still got a good few years of legs in me. I reckon I could join up a local team and get back
The
into it.
the amount of junior for kids. So for listeners coming over, the amount of junior soccer that's getting played at the moment.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's such a developing sport over here. I think we play Aussie rules and rugby, and it can be a bit rough. So the non-contact of soccer for junior, for junior, like with the footy that I coach and everything like that. That a couple of kids have decided to play soccer for those reasons. When they're younger, it is less contact, and you've still got lots of skills. They get they're getting lots of runs into their legs as well. Their legs are
Hmm.
moving, they're getting fitter and all that. It's a nice, good couple of hours. The family can sort of focus on the kids doing all that. So, yeah, for the listeners
Yeah.
out there, it is a growing game, but yeah, it definitely wouldn't compete when you got to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, mate, and watch it.
No, I'll second what you said there as well, Wes. Like the infrastructure over here for sports, for fitness, for those team kind of sports exercise, it's just second to none. You'd be blown
Yeah,
away if you do come over and see it. Every
yeah,
kid's in some kind
everywhere.
of team, whether it be rugby, Aussie rules, baseball. There's just so much you can do over here, and
Yeah,
it's all year round, but no weather permitting. It's glorious.
yeah, it is good. I think well, maybe because of the weather and that, but if like fitness is key in Australia, I notice it.
Mm.
Like young dads and all that. I guess it depends where you live. If you are sort of near a beach sort of area, yeah, you do sort of notice it, and then you sort of go into sort of more areas that are away from the beach. You notice a few more dads with, with beer bellies. You feel a bit more accepted actually when you're hanging around with them. But yeah, it's just the way it sort of works. It's yeah, it's always been like yeah, it's so hard to explain if you haven't been here. If the listeners that have been here, you'll definitely understand what we're trying to get at. But yeah, it's definitely a good life. Yeah, it is a great lifestyle and everything. What would you have changed about the process, mate? If you could have done anything different, obviously you had to deal with the pandemic, so we'll rule that one out. But the choices you made with visas, would you ever have changed anything, mate? Or
I wouldn't, not at all, Wes. No, it was very, very good value for money. And barring the pandemic, it was very swift, I'd
yeah,
say. And I think those who were to be applying now would have a much, much better time. And I wouldn't change a thing,
yeah.
honestly. Yeah, it's just short-term pain for long-term gain. I see it as.
Yeah, and the cost as well. Obviously, you got the like I always say to clients that I'm sort of giving, like I guess quoting or to explain the story. I'm like, look, none of it's fun, but the end result, the end goal is to get you to Oz. But you
Yeah,
got the extra cost, you got the extra duties and tasks you got to do in your free time, which no one really has time to do. But you make it and you make it work, and then the result, mate, is you end up in bloody beautiful Brisbane.
absolutely.
With everything in front of you. So, is there anything you'd like to add or anything, mate? Anything you'd like to, I don't know, about yourself or anything you'd like to sort of mention to the listeners about what they could do or how they could do things or anything like that? Forgetting the down
Yeah,
under centre services, just what they could do to better themselves or any knowledge you would give it to anyone?
absolutely. Look, I could talk all day about just differences between the UK and Australia. I mean, I'll start with the Down Under Centre. Look, I think I first made the call to you in January 2020. I signed up in May 2020. There was never one point during that experience that I did not have full trust in yourself, in Jenny, in the team. I felt like I was in such
Yeah.
safe hands, sorry. Just you guys just do an incredible job, and it's just the whole process was effortless.
No,
It,
good man.
when you want to be there, when you want your life in Australia, it's the hurdles you have to jump through seem effortless.
Yeah, but you mentioned that word again, differences. So, what are some of the differences between Australia and the UK, you reckon?
Oh, there's so many. It's got a lot of the good parts, but it's got so many more better parts. You know what I mean? I think one thing is just the social cohesion between people over here is just it's amazing. I don't think the British mind could quite comprehend those differences. Really, you've got the friendly nature of individuals, neighbours. Christ, they've had decades of growing up watching neighbours, so they know how to be incredible, like friends to the people who live around them. I had one neighbour on one side. He picked me up when my car broke down at 10 o'clock at night. He was getting ready for bed, and I give him a call, and he drove all the way to pick me up and helped me the next day fix it. The neighbour on the other side every year drops a hamper off at my door for Christmas. So
What do you get in
it,
the hamper, mate? Does he like rub it in that you're English, or what do you get?
it's just he fills it to the brim, mate. It's all foods, exotic jars of this and that, and it's a really nice touch, man. Like that's the type of people you got over here. They're just great.
Yeah.
Good crack. You have a good laugh with them. Generous, super generous.
I think
Uh,
relaxed. I think
relaxed.
D does a lot of that, doesn't it? When the sun's out, the
Yeah,
everything's a bit more chilled. Everything's a bit more. Everyone's a bit more pleasant. And obviously, you got. I find you got a lot of space here in Australia compared to the UK as well. So having that
100%.
space, just it's just easier. We were chatting with. I had a 30th to go to on Sunday. My cousin, they're triplets actually.
Yeah,
Laura, Rebecca, and Chris. And Chris is out in the UK and he's been out there for 6 years. And big, not that he'll ever listen to my podcast. I don't think he will. But congratulations, mate, for the engagement. But like we were talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, how hard it's been over in the UK," and he's only been back for 2 weeks, and how easy a life is. And I was like, "I know it feels so different. You like
yeah,
challenges, but yeah, this just felt a lot easier living in Oz."
it is. I'd second that as well. I think the freedom you have you can go to a national park and not and hardly see anyone on a 2 hour walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it's that type of space it's just something we can't ever believe is true.
Yep.
Like we were a small island, 70 million people or whatever, and there's no way you can go where you feel like you're alone. But in Australia, you've got all this freedom. You can just drive. You can
Yeah.
drive wherever you want to go, and you can hardly see a soul sometimes.
Yeah, it is so different.
It's so different, mate.
Different. Well, mate, look, I'm going to wish you all the best. You got to keep us posted, mate, what this food van's going to be, and try to get a few
Absolutely.
down on the centre clients there munching on it. But mate, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and all the best for your life in Australia, mate. And thank you again for joining us in the podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure, Wes. Thank you so much for everything. I'm
Yeah,
eternally grateful to you and your team for this.
no, very
Honestly,
welcome.
mate.
You guys do the hard parts. We just sort of coach you through it. But you enjoy Oz, and guys, we'll catch you on the next podcast. Thanks again, Jonny Biro. Cheers, mate.
Thanks. Cheers, Wes.